Isai, Ex Mortis Necronomicos. Hello. So, they say that without fire there is no smoke, and in turn, without fire there is no flame. Without no flame there is no ash. Without ash, is there no Evil Dead? Let's explore that question in this here, my review for the new chapter in the Evil Dead franchise, Evil Dead Rise. Let's talk about it. So welcome back to the channel, everyone, and welcome to this here, my review for the Evil Dead Rise. I had the opportunity to go and see it, thusly I took it. I'm a fan of the Evil Dead franchise, so why wouldn't I watch this film? Yeah, let's talk about it. So this film, obviously, it's just come out this week. It's been much anticipated amongst the horror fan circle and Evil Dead fans. But did I enjoy it, or do I feel like that one individual at that screening?
This movie fucking sucks.
Anyway, this film comes at us written and directed by Lee Cronin. And it comes produced by the team of Robert Tapert, Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell, Ash himself. So, yeah, this film here. So this film, it opens, and I will go into spoilers here, people, so be aware. This film opens giving us that shot that we all know of Dead racing through the forest, only there's a little bit of a twist on it, and it's not the Dead, and we are introduced to a couple of people in a cabin in the woods, and the Dead strike. The film then jumps back to a day earlier, and in turn we're introduced to this one main character who's like a groupie, and then we're introduced to the rest of her family. These are the individuals living in this condemned tower. I say condemned because the tower's about to be pulled down in about a month's time. This answers the question as to why there's not too many people living in the building, why the noise doesn't attract more people than what it would, and all this sort of a thing. But we're introduced to this family, this mother whose husband has recently left her. She's got 3 kids of varying ages. One, a young girl who likes to decapitate dolls, Toy Story style. Another girl who's pretty bland in what she does, and a young boy who's a wannabe DJ. Now, the young lady we've been introduced to previously, who's a member of this family, she's a sister of the mother. She comes back, so she's the aunt for the kids. And the mother sends the kids out for some pizza, and at this point on their return, as they're in the garage down below, an earthquake strikes, or something happens. The building starts to shake, cracks appear in the floor. We do get a line about this building being an old bank, and thusly opens up a hole in the floor leading down into what would have been the bank's vaults. And the young boy, he decides to go down and explore it. Another hole's open, and he finds like a catacomb, a tomb, albeit, where he finds some old records. Lucky he's a DJ and he's got all that system up there, and he finds a Necronomicon Ex Mortis, a Book of the Dead, somewhat different to what we're used to in Evil Dead thus far. Although it's bound in human flesh, inked in blood. It's a nice design of a book, nice teeth holding it together, this sort of a thing. Yeah, thusly he plays the records, the Dead gets awoken, the mother gets taken over, and thusly ensues the remainder of the film as a survival story of these people and the Dead and all this sort of stuff. We're introduced to a couple of other characters that live in the block of flats. Obviously they don't survive very long. There's nice callbacks to the original Evil Dead franchise. There's eyeballs are flying, there's lines that are spoken. Yes, there's a chainsaw, there's other bits and bobs that you're call back to and say, yeah, that's from, you know, whatever. No, Bruce Campbell doesn't make an appearance. That's not really a spoiler whatsoever, because there's two types of Evil Dead. There's two types. There's the Bruce Campbell, there's the non-Bruce Campbell. Now, if Bruce Campbell is included on screen, the Evil Dead franchise takes a more comedic, light-hearted turn with a lot of humour. Take Bruce Campbell out of that equation and you can have a film like this, which is just dedicated to the gore, the evil, the horror, the more horrific aspect of it. So did this film work or didn't it? Okay, well, firstly, and this is going to upset a lot of people, this film is just a remake of The Evil Dead, essentially. You strip this film down to its bare bones, you take away the meat, you take away any substance to it, and you have got The Evil Dead again, remake. Difference being, The Evil Dead is set in a cabin, this is set in a singular location, it just happens to be a high-rise block. There's no difference. The cabin has the basement, the cellar. This has the parking garage and all this sort of thing. And during the earthquake, there's a massive sort of Chekhov's gun reveal moment that occurs, and you're just thinking, okay, so there we go. At the end of the film, that's how we're going to defeat the dead, so to speak. Luckily, and contrived so, we have a scene towards the end, and spoilers, where the remaining dead that are alive sort of bond together and create one being, shall we say, sort of the Thing style. And this is convenient in the sense that now we haven't got to kill 3 or 4 different individuals. We can just kill the one all in one go, and we've got it. There's that sort of a thing to it. Now, the film is well made. I'm sure that gore hounds are going to adore this movie in droves. There's enough gore, there's enough violence, there's enough blood to make anyone who gets off on that sort of a thing extremely happy. However, the problems for this film lie in the fact that, much like every other horror film, the characters are dull, are boring, and not... they just don't draw you in. It's more about the situation that they're in, what's happening, and the violence that can be shown on screen. Character development be hell. Character development, you're out the window, you're gone in favour of some pure violence, because you're all pretty much disposable anyway. So why should we spend a load of time developing your character? This is the main problem with these films for me. Now, I'm not saying that this film is a bad film, certainly not. It's a good film, but it's not the Evil Dead, the Army of Darkness, Ash vs Evil Dead. It's not that. This is more akin to that 2013 remake that we got, and more akin to a sequel to that in tone than a sequel to something within the sort of original, the OG Evil Dead franchise. So, yeah, fundamentally, a well-crafted film. It's well-directed, it's well-presented. Aesthetically speaking, it looks great. You know, it's very darkly lit, obviously. The flat that they're in, the building, very sort of dowdy and not nice looking in that sense, so it adds to the character of the movie. But ultimately, you know, when it comes to character, there is none. There is none, and for me, that's the primary issue. This is a film that I would revisit again. Of course it is. It's not particularly scary in any way, shape or form. There was, you know, I don't scare easy, and in that, horror films don't particularly work for me very well. The minute you add a bit of humour into the mix, like the Army of Darkness does, Ash vs Evil Dead, the TV show, Evil Dead 2, I sort of hone in a bit more onto it, because there's something different to attract me to it rather than just the gore, the violence. But yeah, so for me, yeah, it's a film I'd get in the collection to add to the Evil Dead franchise. Of course it is. I've got all the others, so why wouldn't I get this one? And I would revisit again. But like I said, I think, you know, as time goes by, this will be remembered more like the 2013 remake than anything else. That's all I've got for you. This is AJ. Thank you for watching, and yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Now, where was I?